Hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll, and tonight I am joined by my very good friends. First of all, we have Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy, and we have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato. Boys, good to be back with y'all. Good to be back on the pod. How we feeling?
Yeah, feeling good, man. I like having a series back to review, man. And knowing that we have, kind of quote unquote.
You like the rhythm?
Yeah, the rhythm, and then quote unquote job security for the next 8 weeks.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yes.
Gives us a schedule, you know?
Yes. Is this 8 weeks? This
8 episodes, I believe.
8
yeah.
episodes?
Mhm.
Is it normally? Oh, yeah, they've always been 8, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
6 is Marvel, if that's what you were thinking.
Nope, I just was thinking math and how math is difficult for me. Hopefully math is not difficult for you. If you've looked at our views on YouTube lately, you'll see that they're difficult for us. But that's because you guys aren't sharing the podcast. So help us out a little bit. Share the podcast. Share the YouTube channel. Share it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening. We want to encourage you to please hit the subscribe button wherever you are taking in this content. Please leave a review, leave a comment. If you're on Apple, those really help. Please leave a review. And also follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're all over the place. So follow us and join the community. And, join us on the ride. This is the way, gentlemen.
This is the way. I love it.
This is the way.
Yes. So let's talk about episode 2 of season 3 of The Mandalorian. Yep. Minds of Mandalore.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I keep wanting to say something else. Minds of Mandalore. This was I want to say a suspenseful episode.
Oh, yes.
Is that fair?
Several moments that were jump scares, really. Like there were several
there were
moments
a couple
that-
things I was like, something's about to happen. Something's
and it got you, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I know it got me too. There was, I think, 3 total scenes that actually, like, I was like, holy crap, like that kind of thing. That kind of reaction. But I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, and just the ending alone was that nice little cherry on top, man. It was so amazing to see. So many nuggets in this episode from Star Wars lore that I would really can't wait to talk about.
Me too. Shamato.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of just really cool stuff that we got to see. We got our first real look at Mandalore ever in live action, so that was super cool. Just seeing that was super awesome. There was a lot of cool stuff. I'm hoping maybe at some point, with the way they're talking about it, that we might even get, maybe some flashback scenes at some point. So that'd be really cool to see in the future.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure, man. Mandalore was quite the sight. I really enjoyed that. And
Yes.
while we were getting the exploration of Mandalore and just the aerial shot going in and then the caves going through, I thought to myself, I was like, did Disney spend all of their budget on CG for Mandalorian and none for Marvel? Like,
I'm not gonna
Ant-Man
lie.
3 and Wakanda Forever got no love from their CG department. It was crazy.
I'm not going to lie, I was thinking the exact same thing. Especially when they were flying in, I was like, I really wish, like, this looks really good. Like, where was this in some of the Marvel content recently? Like,
Exactly. It's wild to think about, but I guess I also made the comment, really, when me and my wife were watching the episode, and I was like, I love that Star Wars is able to do practical effects with CG enhancing, whereas Marvel is doing CG, like, fully.
yeah.
And it just takes away from the feel of it, because The Mandalorian truly is an experience. Like, this episode, you felt it. You felt this episode, and it was great to be involved in what you were watching on screen.
Well, like, how easy would it have been to have just CGI'd the native creatures? I'm not sure. I don't remember the name exactly of them, but the native creatures. How easy would it have been just throw, some, poor mocaps, that kind of stuff. But you could obviously tell that they had people actually dressed up. Maybe they had some extra like CG added on to make the process a little bit easier. But you could tell that that was a real person in those scenes. Working in the space.
I think they were Alamites, is what I think they were.
Alamites,
yeah. Okay. But it was great to see.
It's just funny. I almost never pick up on CGI lacking, or like if a movie or a show is good or bad. It's got to be like really noticeably bad for me to notice. And if it's good, I don't think I noticed that either. I have such just an untrained eye.
You know,
I mean, I think it's awesome. I mean, when I see it, if you are a big budget production, I'm going to ding you for like in my mind when I see that you did this because
because what did you spend the money on?
Yeah, like you spent like if it's a B-rate movie, I understand that, or a smaller budget movie, I understand that.
Or
but,
a show, like smaller budget. 'Cause
a
it's a show.
small budget, or even a small budget show. Like there are big budget shows. Any Marvel show is going to be a big budget show. Like it's just the way it is. But so I expect them to, put their best foot forward because they have even said that there should be no difference between this big screen and the little screen. So
They said it.
in that in that space, if you're going to say that these are supposed to be on the same level, well, then you better put in the same effort on both.
It sounds like you guys just uncovered a completely separate topic
discussion.
idea.
Yeah.
That
We do need to hone back in. On
Yeah,
this
we can
episode,
come back to that sometime. But so it's good to point it out. But maybe we should. Keep it on.
You're right.
We can
you're
get it
right.
back on track.
But it led to the episode being as great as it was,
Yes.
in my opinion. But
Yeah.
how awesome was it just to see Pelly again? Right, we see
Yes.
her, and she's up to
Grifting.
her grift. Yes, such a grifter. She's like, it's a holiday. It's Bunta weekend.
Yes.
Like, what do you?
Bunta Eve.
Yeah, Bunta
Whatever.
Eve. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like,
Hey, you know about Bunta, right?
Sure, of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's like, I'll fix it for you, but I got to work on Bunta Eve, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? And then as soon as he leaves, he's like, get the Jawas in here, put it back together, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like, it was great to see. And then Mando comes in humming on his Naboo one, and
Yes.
it was great to see her again. And I really thoroughly enjoyed it, especially.
And then she grifted him.
Well, oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure. But then like seeing Grogu interact with her as well, where he force jumps
Yes.
out to greet her, that was great. But I will say, the droid, you guys, I don't know, T-Roll doesn't, but Shimado, the droid
Don't
that
assume
she
that. Don't assume
lets him go ahead and use is the same droid from New Hope. Where Luke was looking to purchase one of those droids, so
That was R5. Yeah, I knew it was
R5D4.
R5.
Yeah, R5D4. Good job. So
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
that was pretty incredible. And then when she taps it, it falls apart. So he's still falling apart,
Yeah.
which is great. That's awesome. But obviously the Jawas kept him around, and Pelly got her hands on him eventually. So
Yeah.
but I love these little nuggets that they're dropping from the
Yeah.
Star Wars universe. But he got his droid to go
Yeah.
explore Mandalore, which is
Yeah.
great to see.
That was the only part of the episode that I was a little bit like, it was a little bit off. I was like, what is going on with this droid? He all of a sudden is just okay with any droid after he fought so hard for this one specific droid.
Yes.
It did feel a little off. That is the only part that I would like critique about the episode. Like, I felt like it was a really, really good episode, but I did feel like he kind of like gave in to like this idea of just random droid, just oh yeah, even though they had already told me that I can't get this part, I'm gonna go halfway across the galaxy and find this part.
Yeah.
Oh, second place says no. I'm good.
Well, I feel like he trusts Pelly. I feel like he trusts her.
Yeah.
And I mean, we see her like not being trustworthy
Yeah.
before the scene, but I feel like she and Mandalorian have a relationship enough to where he can trust her. And he said, you know what, I really need to get on this journey and bathe in the minds of Mandalore,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing, right? And she offered him a droid, and he's like, you know what, I'll just take it. I'll take it. I trust you, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
great podcasting here. I think the best thing about this episode is that structurally it was just a single. I mean, there was a clear direction where they were going.
Yes, I
like he
agree.
was going to
agree.
Mandalore. That was the whole focus. Didn't take him long to get there after the episode starts. The majority of their time was spent there.
Yeah.
There was clear peril when he was there too. Clear
Yeah.
mystery. Like
oh yeah.
like literally like he wasn't prepared to get out of his ship yet because he wasn't sure about the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So
And before they even get to the planet, I do want to point out the scene where he is taking the time to teach Grogu about
Yes.
navigation, and he's like spending the time explaining where they're going, what system they're in. Like
Yeah.
he really took the time to do that, and then we see that pay off when he does eventually get captured, and he's like go to Bo-Katan, like, and then he knew
Yeah.
because scenes later he was like, this is where Bo-Katan lives, is all part of the scene.
Yes.
So when he gets back in the ship, he points to R5 and he's like
This planet.
this planet right here.
That's super cool, but it's also like it's doubling down, and it's one of the basic tricks of like movie and TV making where he's telling a character what's going on, but he's also very much telling the audience what's going on.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this is what system we are in. That is what planet or what moon that I grew up on. This is this. So like he's giving us information without it being
In your face.
It's
Yeah.
in the story, which is always the better way to do it when you're figuring out this stuff instead of, it makes it when you're giving a character that doesn't have like the the information, and you're giving that character the information. It's feels more part of the storyline than figuring it out kind of unorganically. It's just being dropped into the episode. So it's always nice when it's like this. So it's kind of like we're getting this extra connection, and he's telling us as well as telling Grogu.
Yeah, and Grogu in this episode really carried his own.
Yes.
Like he was doing a lot of great things as far as force pushing these creatures around, right?
Yes.
But then like as he's running away, like Mandalorian gets captured, and it was a crazy scene because he's looking at that Mandalorian helmet, and then this big giant
like a
mechanical
trap.
robot
Yeah.
traps him, grabs his body, takes him away. Grogu tries to free him, fails because he's using the Force to try to open the cage, and he ends up making too much noise, and the weird
Whatever,
robot
yeah.
/ organic being.
Yeah,
It
monster.
was. Yeah, it looked fantastic.
Kind of
by the way. It
reminiscent
looked
of like
really good.
Like it almost kind of reminded me of like a
Grievous?
yes,
Yeah.
Grievous.
Yeah, Grievous had just like organic eyes, but
Yes.
this creature had eye, but with like the lid and the little
Yeah.
bit of the facial features.
Well, Grievous
there.
also had some like internal organs as well too.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. And this
Yeah,
creature might have too
he
because
got
that
a cold.
hoses. Yeah, yeah, he got a cold. But then you see Grogu escaping, and he's like force pushing this big creature out of the way, and then dodging this like flying creature, and then he gets in the ship and like leaves Bo-Katan, which
Yeah.
it took a whole lot. Which even Bo-Katan acknowledged later on. He's like, "You're strong, buddy. Like
Yes.
you must be strong in the Force. Like to
If you
get to
got
me."
here,
And,
yeah.
that was pretty great to see. And-
Which it was cool to see. I kind of thought about like the parallels between this and like the Bad Batch, and I felt like Grogu was a better example of the young character saving the older characters. I think it made more sense than when Omega saves the characters in the Bad Batch. I felt like it made more sense as he was
Omega.
going through, and it was really cool seeing him like be able to use the Force and just kind of maneuver around. Very much like there weren't no like super stretches of his abilities. Like everything
Yeah.
was within his realm of capabilities, which I felt like was very much like I feel it's overplayed lots of times where like the weak character, quote unquote. I know Grogu isn't weak, but usually the character that is generally being taken care of lots of times will have like this leap in ability to save the main character.
Right, yeah.
Whereas I felt like everything here kept within his abilities and was realistic to him as a character.
Yeah, I feel like you got to see his Force powers on display, but
Yes.
it wasn't like anything OP. Like nothing was
Yeah.
overpowered.
Yeah,
Yes.
so much so we're like kind of on display. Like technically, they didn't really like when he threw that monster out of the cave. Like
Yeah.
we didn't actually see him do it. We just see the
Full-
monster go
yeah,
flying,
and you see his hand afterwards.
and then he
yeah.
comes coming out of there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that
Which
was
was-
great. Yeah.
Right.
But then
I want to see Grogu force choke someone.
I want to see Grogu do all sorts of things like lightsaber
Yeah.
battle and everything.
Yeah.
But the real talk about this episode really should be focused on Bo-Katan and how she absolutely killed it, man. She was phenomenal. We got to
Yes.
see her in action, and you could see how strong she was as far as her ability to fight, but also her strategy in the fighting too. Like especially
Yes.
the scene where she's walking in the cave and she knows and notices something up top, and she starts shooting the ground up
I
there.
love
and
that little
falls
push
down.
that she gives to. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
for
the
whatever
nudge, the
reason,
little
like,
nudge.
I just love that little nudge. Like
Yeah.
she was getting prepared for like what was coming up. Like, she knew
Exactly.
that there was about to be a battle, and that
Yeah.
to put everything where it needed to go. She was she was great in this episode for all the fight scenes and stuff like that. But you also got to see like other parts of her, and like just like a lot of it was behind like facial expressions, but she was the way she would look at the things that were coming around and going through everything that was happening, and just the fact that she was willing to go get Din Djarin after she was pretty annoyed at him when he came when she thought he was coming back.
No, literally moments before, she's like, "Let's get rid of him once and for all." Like,
yes.
Yeah, what's that about?
I would have murdered
What's
this
that
person.
about?
Well, she just wanted to be in her misery, man. That's all. And he
She's
kept
mopey.
He came back for the second time. She's like, "That's it. I'm done with him. Let's get rid of him." Like that's all it was. It's like she wanted to be there with her and her droid by themselves because she couldn't lead a group of people without the Darksaber, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But now she sees that he was in trouble and he went to go help. And
yes.
And that was
showing true leadership.
Yes.
Like diving back in it to show that she very well should be the leader of Mandalore.
Yes, absolutely. Well, what proved that for me was the fact that when they went in to actually save the Mandalorian, she go ahead and picks up the Darksaber and is able to wield it flawlessly and destroys. It was way too easy.
Unlike him, every time he swings that thing, it's,
because
man,
it was
terrible.
because it was finally rightfully hers.
True. I mean, yes, true. But the scene with Hero's talking about with the agonizing, it was painful to watch. It really was.
Yeah.
Mandalorian fighting the three creatures,
Yes.
and he's like sluggishly trying to save himself, and it was very painful.
It's really struggling.
Completely flipped on its axis there to go and see Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
So what's the deal though? Like, she can't. That can't rightfully be hers until she wins it in battle.
Yes, what she did.
Did she? She didn't battle him.
Okay, well, Din Djarin was disarmed by the robot thingy,
creature,
and then she defeated the robot thingy in battle. So I believe
But yet,
that it is.
Mando picks it up at the end
Yeah,
and puts it
she
back
didn't,
on his
and
back.
she didn't fight that. I feel like,
But
if
I don't
she
believe
knew,
she lost it in. She never lost it in battle. Is what I. So I believe it is still.
But then why wouldn't she speak up about that? Like, if she knows that that's hers now, rightfully, why wouldn't she just why is she just going to let him put it back on his belt?
I mean, I think she.
Maybe it's a pride thing. Maybe she's like, no, I probably should challenge him to actual combat, that kind of thing.
I mean, it could be that, or it could just be that she's, come to this moment of she's at the place where she needs to be, and she's kind of. I think in some ways she's almost kind of in awe of Din Djarin in the sense of his commitment to the creed that he still has in this moment and everything that's happening, and him wanting to go back into the waters. And I feel like she had lost a lot of that awe for her own culture in a lot of ways, especially when they were walking into the mines. She had a very sarcastic and very dismissive attitude about her own past and her own culture. So I think part of it is she's kind of I don't know, maybe seeing the the greatness of her culture through the eyes of someone else again. So she's almost starting to see those things for the way she used to feel about them.
Yeah, I feel like when Mandalorian was talking about the waters of Mandalore, you kind of saw that twinkle in her eye. She's like, okay, this is what I'm fighting for. This ideal of what Mandalore means to people is what she's trying to stand for. And I think that was great when she's offered, okay, I'll take you. I'll show you.
Yeah. Well, but actually, to tell you the truth, I think in that moment, she was actually doing the opposite.
You think so?
The way that she was saying it to me,
I think she was trying to hide it. I think she was trying to be overly
I don't think so.
To kind of be like, hey, well, listen, the scene where she was she was making the soup, right?
Yeah.
I feel like she kind of had that look, you know what? He's right. I should probably show him this way. Yes.
Nah, bro.
I don't think so
she
either.
said mocking things to him, but I when she was talking about her being a princess and she put on a show, that kind of thing. I kind of felt like I got the impression that she was kind of fond of those memories because of her dad. She was more relating it to her dad, and she thought fondly of that. That's why I kind of picked up on it.
I thought she was being spunky the whole time and almost just annoyed.
I feel like she was kind of saying, yeah, I'll take you to the waters, in the sense of you coming up on you hearing about a river, like you go in to see, I don't know, like the Mississippi, and then you get to the Mississippi and it's like muddy and dirty,
nasty water.
and like nasty water, and then
Yes,
it's like
you're right,
That's how
Shamato.
she was expecting him to get there and be just completely
Disappointed.
Yes.
completely disappointed.
But
But I think
Then you see.
But I think then she starts to.
Well, at the
I
end,
think she
yeah,
starts
'cause
to
she saw the
turn
damn-
towards the end. Like
She saw
right,
the damn. What's that? What's that
Mythosaur.
monster?
Mythosaur.
Yeah. She sees that thing down there that she didn't
Yeah.
believe in.
See, well, I think at the very end, yes, she does. I think as soon as
That's-
I think as soon as
button right at
she
the end.
sees him start to like undo his stuff, I think that's where she really starts to. She switches from that sarcastic to the real, like
Yeah.
the realness of it.
See,
'Cause
I
she's
But
like,
not a single
Right.
moment before the ending would I say that she was genuinely having a twinkle.
because I think what she was
Not a
thinking
chance.
was like, I think she was going to be like, she really wanted to see Din Djarin come up on the
Humiliated.
waters and him being like, oh, these are this is it.
Motto, I'm with you 100%.
Like, and then I think she wanted to be like, yeah,
See,
This is
maybe see.
She wanted the "told you so." She wanted a
Yes.
the
I
"told you
wanted
so"
a-
moment.
Well, see, maybe what I'm doing is kind of projecting the ending and kind of filling
On
in
the-
gaps.
on
Yeah,
the way
you're
back.
wearing
Yeah.
you're wearing like goggles.
Yeah.
yeah. You,
Ending
you got a
goggles.
20/20 vision that kind of like corrects the past.
Yeah,
Pretty much. That's how I'm picking up on it because she
Yeah.
for sure believes now. Like
Because I feel like even all the way up to when
Yeah.
she was very sarcastic, even up when she was reading
Yes.
the thing, like this big like gesture that she was going through. I think she was playing it up. It was theater for her because she wanted
Absolutely.
to see that moment where. In
I
kind
feel
of
like
a
she
mean
was-
way, she wanted to see that moment of break.
I feel like she was trying to play it up for Mando and like kind of give him that full experience because he's never been. He's
Dude,
never
what are
been
you
there.
watching? Are you being genuine right now?
Listen. I do
This
think.
is incredibly optimistic.
Listen, I think that she's
is
she's
pure
she's a
optimism.
believer now in Mandalore.
No, but yeah, now after the episode,
Yes.
not at any point in the episode beforehand, she was there to save him,
Yeah.
and then
Save
she
him
wanted,
again, yeah.
and then she wanted to humiliate him.
I don't know if humiliation.
Maybe not humiliate, but
Okay,
she wanted to
I
prove him
think
wrong.
I think
That's
she
a bit
just wanted to
strong.
see.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like
She despises his
she almost
cult.
sees him. I think
true.
I think she sees him as almost like a tourist, but a person who's like a tourist who claims to be from that area. Like that's how I kind of see how she sees Din Djarin and even those other outside creeds. It'd almost be like someone who. So, for example, if you were from like New York City, and you had somebody who was like from like New Jersey, and they act like they're from New York, and then like when they come in, you just kind of laugh at the way they like are in awe of the actual city when they're actually there, but they say they're from the city, like that kind of idea. I feel like she, in a way, she kind of feels like he's not a true Mandalorian in a lot of ways because of
Which technically he's not because he's never been. The whole episode was spent saying like, "Oh, I've never been to Mandalore.
yes,
I've never
it's about
experienced
him
this,"
not
that kind of thing.
him. He's never set foot
He's
on
finally going to Disney World,
it. Yeah,
Pretty much.
kind of.
that's-
Yeah,
yeah. There you go.
yeah.
and she is there to show him like, you see how stupid Disney World is.
Yeah,
such
kind of
thing.
like
No
it-
such thing.
I mean, like but that same kind of an idea. I'm trying to think of like a place that would be like.
Here you go.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if you've ever been to. Have you ever heard of Plymouth up in Massachusetts, like the Rock?
Yeah.
Plymouth Rock.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but Plymouth Rock is incredibly underwhelming. It's only like a 10-foot
Most
rock.
historical places are.
Yes.
underwhelming. Mount
like
Rushmore is very underwhelming.
yes, Mount Rushmore
That's
would
a
be.
good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's another good one. But that kind of idea
So
is
small.
it's like someone who had been there before, but they're like, there's somebody else out there who blows it up to like this big proportion, and then you kind of want to see the person look underwhelmed because you kind of want to you kind of want to understand that you know what. You want to see that person kind of get taken down a peg a little bit. Like it's kind of human nature. You kind of just want to see that. I feel like that's how she was kind of feeling about this.
Yeah, it's kind of like the time when I went to California and I went to that stupid place that everyone talked about, In and Out, and like everyone was hyping it up. Like I was like, I can't wait to go to this place. And
Yeah.
the people that took me there, like, yeah, it's just kind of a crappy burger place, and even these fries, the animal style or whatever, it's kind of underwhelming.
Yeah,
I
so they're-
do
they're-
not agree with anything.
They're
that
there
you're
to
all
kind of
saying
mock
right now.
me along the way
Yeah.
as I came all the way to California. Like, wait until you get this stupid Southern boy to try this nasty burger place, and really it's not that good. So I think that's what she's trying to say about Mandalore.
Or how
False.
about
I need to
this?
defend In-N-Out real quick.
Like if you were to take someone who like, comes from maybe not the South, and you were to take them, they're like, oh, you know what? I really want to go to I want to go to Chick-fil-A in Georgia. Like, where Chick-fil-A was like first
Nothing
created.
special, I promise.
See, exactly. That's the thing. I think that's what Bo-Katan was trying to do. Like you being, us being from the area, we like if someone were to say that to us, we'd be like, okay, like that would be a ridiculous
No big deal, yeah.
Like okay, I mean, I'll take you there, and you just kind of watch them. You just kind of want to see them have that moment of realization where it's like, you know what, this is just a place.
Yeah.
Like it would be the same thing for what just happened with
Now,
this.
if you want to go to Waffle House, real Southern classic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
So I am fully with Shimano here.
That's fine. That's fine. But
I think what is fascinating about this episode, and to what I'll give it credit for, is that there is a clear, what's the word, dichotomy? Is that right? Like a clear difference. It was vivid.
yes,
Between
yes, it was.
Bo-Katan and Mando the whole time.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like the clear differences. And it took the ending. So let's talk about this ending real quick.
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
So he's going in. He's saying the
oath,
redemption
yep.
creed, whatever
Yes.
he's got to say to be redeemed. Like
Gets yanked.
it looks like he got yanked, right?
Yes.
But by the time that she gets to him at the bottom, there's nothing around him.
No.
I felt like
what-
that was
what is
a
that?
very long dive that she did to try to save him.
my
Like,
God.
that
Yes.
was like
It was
going
really
and
It's like his
going.
best
I
car
was-
that heavy. Like what happened?
I mean, maybe, yeah. So the Mythosaur obviously like pulled him under. Like that's
Yes.
got to be it. And then you see her just, like trying to find him, and she finally does. And on the way up, you see the Mythosaur just kind of staring there, which has me to believe, right? The armor wants proof, right, that he
Yes.
bathed in the waters. What's not saying that him coming back riding on a Mythosaur is not going to be the proof that she needs?
I mean, they've talked about that as they're going through. Well, either him or even, I don't know, maybe they both come back.
Yeah.
how big of a scene would that be? How much of a sign would that be for them to follow Bo-Katan, for the two of them to show up, on a Mythosaur,
Yeah, and the scene directly before that when she's reading the plate, right, and then she talks about it was even rumored that that Mandalore was able to tame the beast, the Mythosaur,
Yeah.
right? Like, who's saying that Din Djarin can't do that or Bo-Katan can't do that?
Yeah.
And even in season 1, when Queel is teaching him how to ride the blurg, right?
Yep.
He
He's
mentioned
like, your people, yeah.
yeah, your people used to ride the Mythosaur.
Well,
yeah.
and when Bo-Katan is talking, she's like, before she actually gets to the Mandalorian and she's walking with Grogu, they're talking about, well, if these creatures survive, I wonder what else.
Yes, you're right. Good point.
Well, I wonder what else could have survived, which was a little bit of a foreshadowing of potentially a foreshadowing of the Mythosaur as well.
So tell me about the Mythosaur. Again, I'm not your Star Wars lore guy.
Yeah, so like if you see the symbol,
Basically the Mandalorian symbol, that
Yeah.
is the skull of the Mythosaur.
Yeah.
but not the one on actual Mandalorian. Our character, he
Yeah.
has the mud horn on him.
Is
but
there
like,
only one Mythosaur, or is there like is it a species? Like
see, that's the other thing. Like we've never seen it.
Yeah.
In live
Yeah.
action at all, or
I don't know
or
too deep
animated
into
or
it.
anything. Yeah, but it's been a mythical being up until now. But the Mythosaur is the embodiment of the Mandalorians. Like that's what
Yeah.
it is, and you can see the symbol on like Boba Fett's armor has
Yes.
a Mythosaur on
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
the skull, and they they pretty much build their whole foundation on that symbol.
Yeah.
And that this is the first like when we
So I
first
get that.
we got a peek of the Mythosaur, like that was the first time ever anybody's ever actually seen a live one, like
Yeah.
whether it's animated or real life, like
Oh, it's never
nobody
been in the
or even
animated?
in the comic books, like you've never seen one like visually with your eye.
Yeah.
It's always been a symbol. So when
Really?
we were able to see that, it was absolutely insane. Like I lost it. I was like, oh my gosh, I
wow.
can't believe it.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
that's a good example of like the ending was good because of what it did like visually on Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
The way she looked, even with their helmet on.
Oh yeah, even with the helmet on, you could feel
You could
the
feel it.
intensity. Yeah.
But aside from that, I was like, oh, that's a big monster beast thing. But I didn't.
No,
I had like no thoughts on like the significance of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like that's the kind of reaction that I'm having. Like so much so to where like I'm immediately texting my like hardcore Star Wars friends. I'm like, did you watch? Did you like? That's how intense I was when I saw the reveal of the Mythosaur. Like
It's like a legendary Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
Okay, well, that does make me more excited. I mean,
Good.
it looked very large.
It did.
Like,
look
that's
very
not
large,
gonna, the Mythosaur.
not gonna fit in his
not
Naboo
gonna
one.
fit in his. Yeah. So
Great
can
point.
can it travel to different?
Dude, I don't even know,
planets?
man. We don't know a lot about it.
I don't know.
I have a
I
feeling.
mean, it's not going to fit in either one of their ships. If they just want to carry it, because neither one of their ships are very big anymore.
That's
yeah,
true. That's
yeah. So it's interesting. Well, it's cool though. It's really cool. So
Overall-
poor Mandalore though, man. I mean, you feel for Bo-Katan when she's walking around.
You
she's
do,
like,
and she's
this
watching
place is destroyed.
Yeah, all the greatness and all that kind of stuff she's
Yeah.
talking about. But
Yeah.
my real question is, Tyler, were you uninterested in this episode?
No, I was interested.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, because again, my critique of episode 1 was like,
Too many
hey, let's
things in
start
motion.
7 different things and not give any of them any time.
Yeah.
And this one was like, let's spend a whole episode on Mandalore.
Yeah.
So it was great. I thought it was awesome. So
Good. I'm glad to hear
Yeah.
that because I really enjoy this episode. And
Yeah.
the next one, hopefully, it keeps like riding the
side
lightning. Man.
mission.
Side mission of the week.
I mean,
Yeah.
very possibly, like, it's going to be, maybe potentially reaching out to some other Mandalorian groups, maybe trying to.
Yeah, bring people back.
I did read that potentially, like, what's it called? Vizsla, Paz Vizsla, or Paz
Yeah.
Vizsla. He's going to be a player in this season, is what I read. So maybe there's going to be like some sort of Mandalorian struggle of power kind of going on.
I mean, I could see him trying to. I mean, because although the Mandalorian seems like the obvious choice to kind of reunite the two groups, Paz Vizsla comes from a very prominent Mandalorian family. That if there was a group that could, join the two groups, he would be a family that would, be able to join
his
them
name
together.
alone has
a
some
lot of
appeal.
weight.
Yeah.
Yes, and he's obviously a very tanky dude in his own right. So like,
sure.
So I mean, his ability would be, pretty awesome. I will say, I would love to see if they do a flashback. I would love to see Bo-Katan's older sister, and maybe we get to see a little bit of Obi-Wan with her because
what you said about the Jedi?
Interesting.
Well, yeah, because that they fought next to each other, but pretty much Obi-Wan and her older sister were in love.
Yeah, Sabine.
Sabine.
Yeah.
Yes. No, not Sabine.
Not Sabine?
Sabine is a different
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
No. My bad,
yes,
my
you're
bad.
talking about Rebels Sabine.
Yes, my bad.
Okay, so but anyway, her older sister was kind of the more like diplomatic. Like she was, Bo-Katan was a fighter. Her sister was kind of more like a diplomat, and trying to keep the peace on Mandalore in a stressful time. And Obi-Wan went there, and they were very much. You could tell that he had connections, like with her, like. And he kind of chose to, even though he had feelings, he chose to
Force.
Yes, to stay on the more Jedi path.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see like that kind of actually happen on live screen, to see a little bit of that tension between the two of them.
Yeah, be cool.
Yeah.
So is Din Djarin, is he redeemed now?
Yes, I would say so. Would you?
The only
he
thing
finished his oath. He finished it.
Yeah, that would be the only thing, is I don't know how far like the process actually goes. That would be the only thing that I would say, is because even earlier in this season when they didn't finish his either, the little boys. So we didn't even get to see truly what the end would be from the very first episode. Because we didn't get to see his finish either. So we can't even match him up and be like.
That's a great point, actually.
So I'm wondering, like, I don't know how far the ceremony actually goes.
How does he prove? I mean, I guess if you ride on a Mythosaur, that's enough proof.
Yeah, that's enough proof. But you're right. How does he?
There's no video cameras, right?
That he no.
Actually, that he was actually in the mines of Mandalore. I don't know. Maybe he breaks off that that symbol.
Tablet, yeah.
The symbol, the tablet, and is like, here we go.
I'm just ready for this whole cult stuff to be done with.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see.
We'll see. Well, boys, this is a good episode. A
Yeah.
lot of fun.
I can't wait for the next one, man. I'm
So
dialed in.
next week, please return to us. Please come back to hear our review, our thoughts on episode number 3. Big shout out to all of our listeners, everyone who's tuned in. Please follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and also please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button wherever you are listening, wherever you are watching. Share the podcast with your friends and help us to take over the world. I mean, just to grow. Yeah. So with all that in mind, for my good friends Sandy and Shimano, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.